I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of the Wellness Revolution podcast. And today we have a very special friend of mine on the call. She is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton. And I've known Dr. Sharnael for, wow, how long? 10
10 years.
years? 10 years?
Yeah,
So,
2014.
yeah, we have been through the thick and thin together. And over the years, I've come to really, well, I liked her when I first met her, and over the years, I've really come to respect what she's about, and how she walks her talk. Man, she doesn't just talk about things. She really gets into it, and she's a really special person, and I love having her on here. And thank you so much for being on, Dr. Charnell.
Well, thank you, Mark, and appreciate you letting me be here with you guys as well. It's going to be fun.
Awesome, awesome. So you you do some really different things with health, and you have a lot of different certifications. You've done a lot of different modalities. What sparked you to get you on this journey?
My intuition, I actually was very ill at the time, and that kind of led to one thing after another of, finding an actual doctor that was an MD, but also an ND. And he did a lot of cool kind of biohacking electronics that I had never been introduced to before. This is back in like 2008. Um, Things that are a lot more mainstream now, like ozone therapy, red light therapy, hyperbaric chamber, biofeedback, lasers. A lot of that I'd never been exposed to before. And so when I met him, he showed me that. He showed me a lot about frequency and the quantum connection to the body and how we're all electric. That put me on a path of like learning more about essential oils and the frequency of that. And then that led to crystals, which are in all the frequency devices. And ended up going back to school and finished out my doctorate. And I never like was going to do that to open a practice. I was really doing that for my own reverse engineering and also just to be able to be in a position where I would go teach at these conferences wherever um, when people had questions or didn't know what to do, that I wanted to be able to help and answer questions and get people well because I believe in prayer and I'd seen miracles happen, but I also saw where people would go back to their lifestyle and basically lose their healing. So I think there was like a missing piece there of like habits and choices and, just common sense. And so when I first went back to school again, I did continue to teach and then I was open up to talking in like wellness kind of communities and wellness conferences. I did that and went to a conference where you were and met you and Bob and all the different people, and that kind of opened up even more. And I was like, oh my gosh, so yeah, lots of things. And I actually do have a practice now in real life. I just opened one up in July, but most of my stuff is online.
Uh-huh.
And now I have all of those fun biohacking, electronic things in my wellness center, but I do a lot long distance, like biofeedback and different things too, that is really easy to do and helpful for people long distance.
So, so you got into like your healthcare career, or I guess passion, in 2008, or out of necessity?
Absolutely.
And what did you do before that?
I was a conference speaker for 17 years. And so I
So,
just
speaking
taught,
on what?
I was teaching on the spiritual things, the paranormal.
Okay, so you've always been into, I'm going to say it kind of differently. You've always been a little weird, and I think weird is really the new cool. So you've always been really cool. What got you into all that? Like how did you? I mean, like, oh yeah, I was speaking at conferences on the paranormal. I mean, like, you're the first person I've heard. I've been doing, we got about 50 podcasts so far. And you're the first person who said I've been speaking at a conference on the paranormal. So, what had you get so interested in all this?
My dog is barking, so I'm sorry. I think somebody's here. I had an encounter at, let me see if I can get my dog to hold in a second. Um,
All right. Yep.
yeah, so I, as a little kid, I was kind of always intrigued with miracles. Um, I had an encounter at 5 with who I now know is Jesus. And I know there's a lot of different teachers out there and different people are pulled to different things. I didn't even know who Jesus was. Like, even when he showed up, I was like, you
That's
know,
nice.
who's this guy? You know,
Yeah.
I didn't find out until I think first grade when a teacher had like a statue of like his waist up, kind of sitting on her desk. And I was like, that looks like the dude, but it was more of a feeling whenever that happened. It was like this immense, overpowering love that, I mean, it even got me emotional and I was crying. I was just like, I felt so much love. And I was just intrigued with what was that and how did that happen? And really, really fascinated with lightning and the stars and the sky and UFOs and Bigfoot. I mean, I lived in Tacoma, Washington for a while, and Bigfoot is kind of a thing, growing up in
Right.
like first, second, third grade. And so, yeah, I don't know, a lot of different mixed things. And then,
Yeah.
of course, I got to say this too, like the Bionic Woman,
Lindsay Carter.
superheroes.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Steve Austin. Like, I was just like, we should be able to do all these things that these
Yeah.
people in the books, Jesus is doing this stuff. We should do that. Like, the
Yeah.
superheroes, we're all superheroes. Why are we not doing this?
Yeah. Same thing when I read about when I went to Catholic school and I read about things like why aren't people like where are the people now who are like where are the disciples now? Where are those people who are out there doing this stuff? Well, most of the time people thought they were weird. They offed them, you know.
Exactly.
So yeah. So
So
so now
definitely
you're so
obsessed
now you
with.
have
I have
one.
like superheroes everywhere
Oh
from
yeah,
like
I remember that about you. Yeah, yeah, I remember that
like the
about you.
tattoos and everything.
Yeah,
Like for me, it's an anchor to remember like this is all within us, we have the power.
yeah, awesome. So started out with an experience at age 5, and that has changed your, altered your life always from that moment forward. And now you're into the healing modalities, and you got into the healing modalities out of necessity to heal your own self. And that's one thing I've talked to a lot of people and coached a lot of people who are in a lot of pain. And one of the things they all say is when they, like, once you heal yourself, once you get out of this, what are you doing? And every single one of them says, I'm helping somebody else. And I find that, it's really interesting because, yeah, like once we get to a certain level, it's like, okay, let's, we may have struggled, but now let's go make it easier for somebody else, right? So,
Yeah, and I think that's the way we're made to, in a way, as we need each other. Like we're not just this island out in the middle of nowhere, but when, there's blind spots that we have, cancel clear, and maybe someone sees something else that we don't. That's why coaching and mentoring and
mhm,
having a good person, that you trust and love to kind of speak into your life and maybe speak some truth into you. And that may not be a doctor, for me, I went through 6 years of looking for a guy or a woman to help me out with my physical issues, and I wasn't getting anywhere. I'm actually was actually worse,
mhm,
and so in the past. So when I found this guy, it happened to be the right guy at the right time, and he's amazing, and I was very blessed. Or I created it somehow I was ready for the teacher,
yeah,
just like when I met Bob and all the other people who've been in my life that are like, okay. And I just talked to someone this morning actually who's going through the sea, and I asked them that question. I'm like, what are you going to do when you're well? And she was like, I just want to help as many people as possible. So that seems to
yeah,
be super common.
yeah, it does. And and I think that's the only way people are going to really be happy. to be in the service. When if you're struggling with your own stuff, you're miserable. But then if you can get over that and start helping other people, I mean, that's to me is the key for that self-fulfillment and living life with enthusiasm, authenticity.
Yes. Well, and the science of giving is really interesting because the limbic system can't tell the difference between me and you. It can't tell the difference between time. And so every time we give to someone else, the chemistry of our brain actually registers it as we're receiving. And it does all kinds of things to our cells and gives us strength and immunity and all that. So that's why whenever people are having a hard time, even if you can just go help someone, with anything, give away something or call someone or, you
Yep.
know, all those things, they do make us feel better. And it takes the, I guess, focus off all the terrible stuff going on that may be happening, cancel, and focusing on something else and someone else. And we do feel that chemistry and we feel the oxytocin and all the like love and the bonding and it's healing.
Yep. And for somebody to there reminded me of the story with Tony Robbins. He said he went into he goes down to his last $20. Do you remember this story?
Mhm.
And he's at a and he was Tony's a big guy, and so he would go into this Chinese buffet when he was poor and scarf, to get his meal for the day. And so he went into this Chinese buffet and he's scarfing and he's down to his last $20. And this little kid walks in, this little boy walks in with his mom and pulls a chair out for his mom and has her sit down and everything. And Tony's sitting there watching him and going, look at this little kid, man, a cool kid. He walks over, hey, what are you doing? He goes, I'm taking my mom out to dinner. He goes, well, do you have any money? He goes, well, no. And he gave him his last $20.
Oh,
Yeah. And he said that's when he gave his last $20, that's when he knew poverty would never touch him again. And for somebody to do that, yeah, I mean it's a gift, right? But that takes, you know, trust cojones, like big trust to be able to, well, here's my last 20. I don't know where my next meal is coming from. And here's my last 20. And he said he gave that person the last 20 and went home and somebody owed him $1,500. Said, hey, I got you $1,500. I'd owed him this $1,500 for well over a year and he didn't think he was going to ever get it. And he got the $1,500.
wow. No,
Yeah.
I've heard that. That's pretty cool. It's like a
Yeah.
vacuum, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's that fear of holding on, trying to hold on, that keeps you from receiving. So yeah, it's a cool story. Like, ooh, we choose to know, man. I like to eat.
Right.
So what services are you doing in your health business?
Well, probably the two most common that I specifically use is ozone therapy and biofeedback. But I have different modalities, like I said, with hyperbaric chamber, red light therapy. I have PEMF. Um, Gosh, we have different people who work with me that do raindrop therapy, QHHT, um, hypnotherapy
Mm,
and, emotional release, that kind of thing too.
mm.
So I'm not the only one there. I have three other people that worked with me.
How big is your facility?
Not huge at all. It's literally two offices and a couple of like a main
Treatment area?
co-working areas. Yeah, yeah. But it's fun and we get the job done and we're seeing a lot of really good responses. And then again, a lot of it is just on the phone of talking to people in Australia and Canada and really, really long distance, which some people would be like, oh my gosh, how does that even work? But I'm telling you,
Yeah.
just three patients of mine, even today, one lady literally, she said yesterday, she said, what time did you do? She didn't know I was going to do it yesterday. She knew it was going to happen sometime this week. And she said, by any chance, did you do anything around 3 o'clock yesterday? Because she said that she had her last client and she could barely keep her eyes open and she had to go home for the day and take a nap. And I was like, we literally started at 3 o'clock. And I had another person, and my co-host was having some shoulder issues. He's in the UK, and I had him running on the biofeedback, but I had a patient come in, so I had to like stop what I was doing with this software and pivot to the lady in front of me.
Mhm.
And I get a text from him on WhatsApp, and he's like, "Did you just turn it off?" I was like, "Oh my God, that's he's across the
Well, yeah,
pond."
yeah.
But yeah. And then I'll let another lady today, same thing is she was basically saying like, I knew you were doing it on Sunday because I literally took a nap. Now, some people get energy from it. The first two times I did it, it just knocked me. I mean, I
Yeah, yeah.
was, but
Dropping toxins out.
yes. But the
Yeah.
third time I was like, woohoo, running around cleaning out closets and cabinets and throwing away things that, all
I
the
need
stuff on my procrastination list was like, check, 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 check. Couldn't go to sleep. I was like wired, working through the night and ideas everywhere. I've had people who got ideas for books. I've had people who got checks in the mail, got new job opportunities, got new partnership just because as we clear that in the field,
yeah, yeah.
anything comes in. Some people just think biofeedback is for physical issues, but it really clears out
Emotional.
everything
Well,
for all.
everything's emotional. Everything's energy, be it the physical energy or emotional stuckness, right? I mean, it's all energy.
Yes.
So very interesting. Yeah, the thing about you said doing this long distance, I remember reading this as a kid. There was an experiment this guy did with plants. And he put basically like a lie detector and hooked his plants up to a lie detector. Did you see that experiment? No.
Yes, Clive Baxter is the guy, and he's one of my favorite. I have like I think every book that he has. Yeah, he's amazing.
Yep. He thought about his plants and they would and
Yep.
and he could be down the street. He could
Like
be on the
40 miles away, and
oh,
he's like, "Hey, I'm coming home in a minute," and they all be like,
yeah, yeah. Oh, so happy to see you, Dad. And he was I think he lived in London, I believe, or in UK. And
"Oh,
he was in America and thought about his plants and goes back, and when he thought about his plants, that went off again. And it was and they said that there was no delay of when he thought about it to when it went off. It was an instantaneous response. So thought is faster than the speed of light.
absolutely." Did you read about the match situation and the FBI getting involved and all that? Like
Oh,
this in the match?
uh,
So, like scientists don't just do one thing and they're like, yeah, no big deal, we're done. Um, they had different people who would go in a room with the plant and they either had scissors, they started out with scissors and they would just cut and like hack and just, kind of be like, "Ah, I'm gonna stab you and stuff." And of course they were hooked up to, not of course, but they were hooked up to the lie detector. So of course that would stress them out because lie detector doesn't show a lie, it shows stress.
right.
And Clive was the main like proponent person of lie detectors. He kind of pioneered all that. So he just kind of transferred it over to the plant situation. Well, they would come back the same people with the scissors, week after week just to see, how the plants would do. And one day the lady came in with her scissors and she didn't even start hacking yet. She just walked in with the scissors and the plant immediately was like, "Oh shit, that's the scissor lady," and like started stressing before it even happened. But then when they came in and they were told, "I want you to go in, but I want you to just prune the plant. I don't want you to hack at it. I just want you to get away all the dead stuff." And there was no crazy response of stress. It was more like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. Um, we're good." But
Uh,
the same thing
yeah,
happened
scratch my
with,
back.
yeah, yeah. The same thing happened with the match is they were told to go in and just like burn the plant. And of course, not just the plant would respond, but any of the plants that were in the room were also hooked up and they were like stressed out because they're watching this guy get burned up. And then she came in, and they walk in with the matches and they're like, "Oh, that's the lady again." And so they had a memory of the person. So the FBI actually got hold of this and they decided to take plants and or animals out of crime scenes And instead of doing the lineup where, a person would sit behind the glass and identify
Uh-huh.
whatever, that they would bring one person in at a time, and the cat or the plant or whatever would be able to identify the killer or the rapist or whatever. Of course, we don't have the laws, that back up putting a plant on the stand or a cat,
Right.
but
Uh,
uh but who knows? Maybe that's the direction we'll go one day, is like they'll do something,
well, the plant fingered this guy, and we need to get a search warrant.
right?
Oh my gosh, that's wild. It's cool. So you've been making a lot of changes in people's lives with the oils, with biofeedback, with all this stuff. Where are you headed? I mean, you still got a few years in you, a couple decades,
Wow.
three or four or five.
Hopefully decades. As
Yeah,
long
where
as I'm
where are you
healthy.
headed with all this?
Yeah, I just continue to do, I mean, I probably do 20 some interviews a week. Um, I like to write. I have 5 books, but there's probably a couple more in me if I ever sat down long enough to get one out or two out.
Uh-huh.
But but yeah, I'm still doing conferences. I'm doing Conscious Life in February in LA, if it's not burned down by the time we get there.
Yeah. Oh, wild. I saw your post today too about um, what's going on. Yep. So I'm trying to bring all this to everything's got to come out. You,
Absolutely.
you can't just make a change without correcting what's going on in the past. It's all you got to bring truth to the situation, however far it takes to go back to do that, and then start building everything in truth again.
Absolutely. And there is a lot coming out. I think that there's been a huge shift. I don't know if you're seeing it in the last 4 or 5 years, where people that I never thought would be suspicious of some of this activity are like, "Oh my God, did you see this? Did you see?" I'm like, "Yep, been telling you that for 20 years."
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
are you
yeah,
seeing that too?
yeah. I have. Also, I choose how to say this, but I've been noticing like there's been waves of light energy like going across the planet. And I've noticed that. Um, People coming into classes are getting things so much faster. I mean, our classes keep going deeper, faster, and it kind of reminds me of this thing Christ said. These things and greater things you shall do. And I used to say that to my clients and go, Christ said these things and greater things you shall do. And I said that hundreds of times, and I missed what that was about until one day I sat in my office and I was going. I said it to a client, and I said, don't be the recipient of that. Be the giver of that. You got to be the giver of that blessing to be able to excel. So when whatever you and I are doing, and you got your students, and I have ours here as well. They're gonna exceed what we do. They're gonna take what we did and build upon it. And that's the greatest gift for a teacher to have is for to have their students to surpass them.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
everybody thinks that way sometimes, but that's
Yeah.
definitely been my philosophy.
Well, Michelle reminds me of it. So she'll do something, or even we have Natasha, some other people in our class too, and they'll coach somebody in a way that I have yet to do it, and I'll call them up and go, "I'm a little jelly, and I'm really proud of you." So if I got the jelly, I mean, if I hold it in, it poisons me. So I got to
Yeah.
make sure I tell them, "Hey, just let you know, I'm a little jelly of you right now, and I'm really, really proud of you." And then that clears the air, and
Yes.
yeah, so that works real well. Anything else you'd like to talk about, or something you don't want to talk about? That could be kind of cool too.
Yeah. I choose to know. Like, I'm just riding with you. We'll see wherever this goes.
Yeah, how's the family? So your family doing well, and your health's doing well now?
Yeah, I don't know what happened traveling. I don't know if it's this dumb fog or what the situation. I got my frequency a little bit lower than normal traveling as much in the last few days. I've been clearing a bit, but other than that, Best health I've ever been in.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Uh,
And your hubby, you've been with him 6 years, maybe
2016. So,
8 years, nine
yeah,
years, eight or nine.
dang.
Wow, time is
Yeah.
flying. How and things going well with him?
Oh yeah. He's the same old amazing, wonderful
And he's
guy.
in the and he's transitioning to the health and wellness field too. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot with machines and frequency and works a lot with me and yeah, he's
Yeah, that's so cool to be involved with somebody, your partner, to
isn't it?
yeah, that shares that with you. I mean, if I couldn't be with somebody who thought what I did was like, "Oh, okay, that's nice. Well, Mark does that, but here's what I do. No,
Yeah,
no,
I did that a couple times.
no, 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 and no.
Not fun. Not fun or easy. And to be on a path where there's no resonance at all and the vibe is completely ugh. Yeah,
Yeah,
not
yeah. What I found is anytime there's a subject I can't talk about with somebody, well, that's one nail in the coffin, and a little bit of this relationship gets dropped off, a little bit of the relationship gets dropped off, a little bit of the relationship gets dropped off until the next thing you know, you're laying in bed with them and there's a 4 foot wide, 10 foot high wall between you. It's like, what is going on? It's just, and
there's
that
a lot
sucks.
of that. There's a
Well,
lot
that
there's a
sucks,
lot
man.
going on. Yeah, there's a lot of transitions with the relationships right now because of that. I think some people are waking up and some people aren't. And, some people got the thing and some people didn't. And that's changing personalities and health and ideas. And it's just, estrangement right now in general is like 1 out of 4 families are estranged. And
Right.
just 4 or 5 years ago, it was like 1 out of 500.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah.
There's
And
definitely been a fork in the road in the last few years.
yeah, most people, I mean, I've worked with a lot of couples and stuff too. And most couples, they do love based on shopping list and tit for tat. And, I don't like this, I don't like this, or they're not doing this, I'm not going to do that. And once they go down that path, oh yeah, yeah, here it comes, man. So you gotta, most people like they think they know what love is, think they know what love is, instead of actually experiencing love and the power of love. And most people have yet to really have a profound experience with love. But once somebody does, it changes them forever. Did me. I'm a way
Absolutely.
I'm a way that different guy than when I met you however many years ago. I mean, it's
Oh, I
been
think we both changed, and it's starting. It starts here, loving ourselves. When we love us,
yeah,
and we start to attract people who love us instead of hating us, and then attracting people who hate us too, and we have a big hate party. It's like,
yeah.
but
From
I didn't even know I hated myself.
yeah, I had a lot of self hate too, but a lot of it came from hating life. I mean, I didn't think life was fair. The way I was taught about life as a kid was like, God was like a neurotic Santa Claus. But instead of sending you coal for Christmas, they're going to send you where they make coal for eternity. And I was like, man, that sucks. And so I had that um, charge up about God and life, and life's not fair, and life's not this, and life that, and all that stuff, man. Like, why? What are we doing down here? And then we're going to go to heaven or hell after living in hell in a 3D world. And then it didn't make any sense to me until I started really exploring what this is about and started looking at like what's really true. And once I started to do that, then that's when things really began to change for me. And the information coming in changed. My ability to intuition went way, way, way up. Um, anyway,
Yeah, and
sure.
I'm really loose with what's true these days too, right? Because everything I thought was right
Well,
or true really wasn't. And so when people ask me, what do you think about this or whatever, it's like, well, right now
yeah,
I think this, but that could change in a minute or two with more information.
yeah,
Like you said, the information is coming pretty quickly, and there's a lot of shifting going on because of that, I think.
I agree. And a lot of, yeah, me too. A lot of the things I thought were true were my opinions, like when it was my truth. But there's certain spiritual truths. We're all one. God is everywhere. God is in us, and we are in God. Those there's some certain universal truths that just are, and then
Yes.
everything else is basically opinion. So people go, well, this my truth is. I'm going, oh, here comes a bunch of crap. So, Sharnael, it's been great chatting with you, and I really appreciate you getting on our show with us today. And I wish you the best in your life. And love you, dear, and look forward to seeing some more of you.
Yes, sir. And you have a wonderful new year. Make it great.
Yes,
Hello to everybody. You guys check me out on the website, and I hope to see you guys around somewhere. Maybe we'll run into each other somewhere, so doing something.
yeah, beautiful, Charnell. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
You're welcome.